Hey friends, so I'm continuing to work on this painting, which you probably can't see that well because there's a reflection, there's gloss on that blue, and it's actually quite a bit darker than what it looks like. But I guess it doesn't matter. I don't know if it matters or not. So what I'm doing is just putting on some details. This is kind of a stage in the painting when I don't really know what I'm going to do with it. I know that it's not done yet, but I don't know exactly what it needs. I think most likely I'm gonna add some different shades of blue to this mariachi guy, to the guitarist. I'm gonna maybe give a little bit more variation in the blues in the sky. This is something I saw. This is something I noticed in the work of Marc Chagall and also Modigliani. There's a lot of variation. Like Chagall used to use, you could see that he was using different kinds of blue. Well, when he was painting something that might look in a reproduction, it just might look like a blue, whatever, a blue scene or a blue sky or whatever it is. In reality, when you see those works in a museum, you can see that it's not just one kind of blue. It's actually he was probably using all of the different kinds of blue, like the what's it called? We have like Prussian blue, ultramarine blue, cobalt blue, cerulean blue. There's all these different kinds of blue, and they're all different. They've got their own distinct tone and hue and everything. So part of the way in which Marc Chagall achieved his very sort of complex and striking color was by using these different kinds of blue. And of course, just because it's, I mean, it's one thing to use cobalt blue and ultramarine blue and whatever. That's easy. I mean, just using them out of the tube. But then you also mix them with either with a solvent to thin them down, or you mix them with like with white, with red, with yellow, whatever, brown, black, purple, to give those blues basically infinitely more variety, right? Yeah, just I've stood up because it's a large painting, and I've gotta do some work here on the top part of it, on the tree. There's still these white outlines around the tree. I gotta do some work on the tree, and it's easier for me to stand up. Actually, I don't usually paint like sitting on a couch like I'm doing in these videos. I'm just doing this because it's easier to keep the camera focused on on the painting and on myself. But I usually work on the floor. I just paint on the floor and I move. I move the picture, sort of rotate it on the floor in front of me, and sit on the floor. And I've been just kind of got used to that. And rarely do I paint standing up. I almost never paint standing up, but sometimes it's good. think it's important to sort of work in different lighting conditions, and also like when I stand up I see it from a different angle. You know, I don't see the glare, I just perceive it a little differently than I do sitting down, or my shift of focus changes. Like when I'm sitting down, my eyes is like right there. When I'm standing up, my eye is right here. So I see it differently. It's a different focus. I think it's kind of important to have the part that you're working on right in front of you. It's not the same as like working on it, looking at it from below like this, looking up, because I don't see it. It's not the correct angle. It's not the correct angle of viewing the painting. That's not how the viewer is going. I mean, once it's in somebody's house, that's not how they're going to be looking at it. They're not going to be looking up at it. They're going to be looking straight on. So if you want to make sure that the effect, that the picture has the effect that you want, you have to paint it the way that the viewer will be looking at it. And it also has to do with the kind of lighting you have in the studio, because it might be one thing over here, and then once you take it, actually, you know, there's no real way to ensure that everybody's going to see the same thing, because everybody's got different lighting in the house, but also different countries have different light, and different seasons have different light. Like right now in the winter, countries like Canada, you just see everything in shades of purple and gray right now. And I understand why really bright artworks might, you know, I mean, they can appeal to some people from those countries. There's people who are looking for more color in their life, you know, something that will counteract the depressive grayness and darkness of winter. But then there's also the other side of it, which is people are used to that grayness. They're comfortable with it, and something that's really blue and really strong, you know, really strong colors, it can basically be too much for some people. They're just not used to it. They're just it's too extreme. It's too out there. Not that doesn't change the way I paint. I mean, I could do something in earth tones. I could make a painting in earth tones, but it wouldn't be one of these San Miguel Magic Town paintings, because there's no point for me to paint something like this in earth tones. It just defeats the purpose. It takes away the magic. Like the strong blue, it has to be there to achieve the feeling that I want to achieve. That feeling of magic. If I were just to remove all the blue and just make it all earth tone, yellows and browns and whatever, I could do that, but I don't think it would have the same impact, and I don't think it's not what I'm trying to achieve in this particular work. Having said that, it's good to experiment with different color schemes. It's good to experiment with earth tones and whatever, because you can't really screw up earth tones. They all go together, and if you're not comfortable mixing colors, and you don't know what colors go together and what colors balance each other and harmonize with each other, then earth tone is a pretty safe bet. You can just stick to ochre ochre and brown and black, white, and they're going to harmonize amongst themselves. And it's basically, it's if you limit the palette to about 4 or 5 colors that all mix well with each other, then there's not much of a chance of screwing it up, really. So that's good for beginner painters. For me, I'm not concerned. I'm not concerned about whether some particular color goes with some other color, because if it doesn't, I'll just change it, or I'll change the one color or the other, and we'll make it work. So it's not a problem, it's not an issue for me. It's kind of like music, like the idea that you have to stay within a certain key in music. I've always been against that idea, and I mean it's okay. It's a good idea in one sense to stay within a certain key in music, because whoever's singing along to you, like the regular person who's not musically oriented, just a regular casual listener, can sing along much easier to a song that's in one key and predictable. But that doesn't mean that that's the only possible way of doing it. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of gray to this cloud here. The sky is generally blue. I'm gonna kill the cloud a little bit. Just add a little bit more gray to the cloud. Gray, a little yellow, a little. Just to differentiate the clouds from the blue sky around them. I think I'm gonna use some of that same tone in the background. It's a kind of nice gray. It's a nice gray. It's a nice gray for the nighttime. And just intersperse it here and there. Now, I think when I was starting to record this video, I think I was saying that I was gonna work on this mariachi guy. Let me bring it down again. Yeah, I think I was saying I was gonna work on the mariachi, and then you see I totally did not work on the mariachi. I just worked on the sky. That's what I mean. I don't really have a plan. I don't really stick to a plan. I don't have a plan of action here. It's kind of like I just watch over the whole surface of the painting, and I look at it and I wonder, like, what needs to be done. I think now I'm giving more shadow to the tree, which I guess is necessary. I mean, I think the tree is a little bit lacking in contrast here. I'm giving a little bit more shadow. I might put some yellow into the tree. I might put some yellow into this tree because of the moon. The moon would give a yellow light onto the tree. Which is, so I'm just generally thinking about these things. Like, see, I'm generally darkening the side of the tree that's further away from the moon. It's a general thing. It's not. I'm not scientifically, calculating where it's going to be darker, where it's going to be lighter, like none of that stuff. It's not like it's not a very scientific approach. It's a very general approach. Like, I know it's going to be darker, but I'm not paying much attention by how much darker, or what what the exact tone will be, or what spots are going to be a little darker, what spots are going to be a little lighter. Like, none of that stuff is important to me. What I want is the general feel. I want to in general lay down where the darks and the lights are. And now that I've done the darks, I think I'm gonna do a little bit of the yellows. And the yellows I'm gonna do dilute it with oil to see if it's kind of like a wash, a little wash, semi-transparent. I think you see that it's a very minimal, just very minimal, a touch of yellow there, where the light falls from the moon onto the tree. In some places the leaves block it, in some places, you can't probably even see this. I don't think you can see that. So yeah, what I'm doing is just adding a very subtle yellow light onto some of these branches, onto the opposite side of where I did the purple, the darks. And of course, purple and yellow, kind of pretty much opposites on the spectrum. This line came out very, very solid. I don't think I wanted that solid. I kind of liked it over here broken up, but I can fix that later. It's hard for me to hold a computer in my left hand and paint with my right. And I wanted to just show you just the just show you what I'm doing, because I don't think you can see it from where the computer is positioned. Here's a little bit of a pinkish purplish tone. Again, like this, I just very rapidly mix it on my palette. I don't try to fine-tune the tone, because my particular approach, let's say, is that using, if this pink tone is not what I want, maybe I want it a little bit, I might want some bluish tone, or some, I don't know, some gray. I don't know what I will want. I will want some other tones on top of this pink, but I don't know what they are yet. But having some of that pink tone underneath is not going to hurt. So my particular approach is that if I can up the complexity of it, increase the complexity of the color, if I can increase the complexity of my color, that's a good thing. So that pink tone underneath is gonna add to my complexity, to the complexity of my color. It's gonna make it more alive, more vibrant, different, more color variation. Technically, this is, if I'm working in oil, this is like, it is wet on wet, but I'm almost dry brushing it. I'm doing it so softly that it's not really, this kind of grayish tone is not mixing with the pinkish tone. It's kind of just going on top of it. I think I'm going to put a little bit more yellow tone here, because this is kind of the branch closest to the moon. And we'll give it a little more of the moonlight on this branch. I can certainly add it in some other places. So what I'm doing is I'm adding this color, but I'm also breaking up the yellow line outline at the same time, because I don't actually want that yellow outline to be extremely visible and unbroken. I don't like unbroken outlines. And add a little bit of dark back into it. Now working with brown, which I think one of the mistakes that amateur painters make is basically thinking that trees are brown, because usually they're not. And stuff like that. Trees are brown, and the mountains with the trees on them are green. No, that's not how it is. I mean, if you really study the light, you really study the color, you'll see that's not how it is. Trees are usually more gray than brown, and there's all kinds of tones that you can put into trees and make it more interesting. So yeah, I think it goes without speaking, like I'm not using any kind of reference, like I'm not using an image or a photo or something of a tree and trying to copy it. I'm just doing whatever feels right to me. And I don't want too much light and white up here, because as a rule, we don't want to attract too much attention to the parts that are towards near the edge of the canvas, the parts that are going out of the canvas. In fact, I should put more green there. I should put more leaves, green leaves, just to close the sort of that line that leads the viewer's eye out of the picture. So let me see I'll show you what I'm talking about. This tree, whatever, if you look at it at any point, the eye follows the tree and it leads you out of the picture right here. Right there, it just takes you out of the picture. If it takes you out of the picture, and then that's no good. That's no good, because we don't want the viewer's eye to be out of the picture. We want it to stay in the picture as much as possible, that the picture self-contained is a world within itself. It's kind of like looking at a beautiful person or something, or whatever it is, like something that attracts your attention, and you just keep looking at that because it's beautiful. You don't want to be like, just look for 1 second and be distracted to look at something else and just lose interest. We want to sustain the viewer's interest in the picture, and basically what I'm doing now is visually I'm telling the viewer, don't go out there, don't go out of the picture, don't lead your eye out of the picture, stay within the picture. There's more to see. There are more elements here that are interesting, that you're going to enjoy looking at. So don't leave the picture just yet. That's what I'm saying by closing that exit point right there and reducing some of these highlights towards the edges of the picture, because we don't want to bring too much attention to the edges. This is, yeah, that's Okay, I think it's time for me to put the computer down because I'm kind of tired of holding it. And normally, if I'm not recording a video, I would step back. I would need to, after working like this close up, because I want my picture to look good close up, but I also want my picture to look good when I step back and look at it from across the room. So normally, if I were not recording, I would be taking steps back to look at it every once in a while and sort of get the feel for the big picture. It's fine that each little part looks good, but I need to get the feel for the big picture also. And there is the big picture. Again, have to sort of move up and down and try to avoid the glare. Adding some more darks in there. Add some more darks. Maybe break it up with some grays. It's very important to be able to step back and see what's going on. So here I was going to do like a grayish kind of shadow under his chin or neck, but I can't do that because his clothes are kind of grayish, greenish, bluish, whatever. So the shadows have to be shades of brown in order to not blend in with his clothes. Otherwise, I could easily do a green or blue shadow. I don't care about it looking realistic or whatever. I'm just interested in how it relates to the elements around it. You know, so the face has become better quickly. I mean, I'm sure you can't see it. You can't really see it because I probably need like a better camera setup, but the face has become better. And I'm gonna do now what I said that I was gonna do, which is add some shadows. Let's see. Let's see. Just increasing contrast here. Yeah, I don't really want his clothes to be, I don't want it to be delineated by lines, by outlines or anything like that. I want it to be pretty organic looking here. But I put those lines in because I want some of that to show through and add to the complexity and to the life of it. But I don't want them to define the exact outline of his shirt or anything like that. Like that line, it's not really necessary. I mean, I might be able to put it back in a more subtle way. But for the most part, it's not necessary to have an outline as such. Rather than having the outline, I'm just gonna darken some areas and define his arm and the shape of his body, define it through these darks and highlights rather than through line. Yeah, I think that's a lot more interesting. And of course, it looks like crap over there. You can't see it, but that's how it looks close up. And I'm just gonna put some. Maybe some white outlines. Some white outlines are good. When I was starting out, I would do a lot of black outlines because it was like natural. I don't know why. Natural to use black is normally you draw in black with pencil or pen or whatever. So you don't really think of outlining in white. But these days I prefer outlining in white. And you know what? I'm gonna do some highlights on the clouds, but I'm gonna make them like pinkish, purplish, something like that. Because I don't want to just make them white. That's gonna be sort of boring or whatever. I mean, I think it needs some pink purple here in the clouds. That's what my intuition is telling me, and I'm just gonna go ahead and trust my intuition on this. So there are variations of pink and purple. I mean, it could be strong like here, or it could be washed out like here. Like this one almost looks white. How strong it looks depends on how much pink, how much of the same color is around it. If there's none of the same color around it, then even a washed out pink cloud is going to look pink. But of course, now that I've added quite a bit of pink to it, the washed out parts look pretty much white. And there's one sort of cloud. And this one, I guess that one's good. See, there's a pink one and the other one is a green one, so that gives it a nice contrast because pink and green are, once again, they're opposites. So that gives it a nice contrast, a nice dynamic between the two. The two clouds. Now, don't ask me, you know, how come this one has a green highlight on it, because it's the same moon is shining down both clouds. How come one has a green highlight, the other one has a pink highlight? How is it possible? That's not my concern. My concern is how to give it the biggest visual impact, give it the most life and the most magic. That's what I care about. I don't care about how realistic and how possible it is. I've done pictures with humans who had 4 fingers and 6 fingers and 5 fingers and whatever, and people have asked me like, how come it has 4? How come this person has only 4 fingers, not 5? It doesn't matter to me how many fingers anybody has. That's not the point of my picture. Does it have the balance? Does it have the magic? If so, then that's the important thing. I don't care about factuality. So yeah, I'm just gonna be adding a little bit more highlight on the tree. I think that the way that this computer is positioned, like you guys, you probably can't see it well enough anyway. Probably, I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. You probably can't, which is too bad. But basically what I'm doing is just adding more highlights on the tree. Why? Because I just wanted to pop more. I wanted to bring it more to the foreground. And you can see I'm not overly concerned about mixing the exact color or whatever. I just know I want to highlight it. That's all I care about. It's got to be lighter than what's on there now. I don't particularly care about the exact tone or whatever. If that needs to be changed, I'll do that later. Because what I do is just I pick up a color, like I paint fast. So what I do, I pick up a color that is more or less, what, for example, it's just, I know it's going to be a lighter color than what I've got there. So I want to lighten it. I don't know exactly what tone I want or anything like that. I just know I want it to be lighter. When I put that tone, whatever tone I end up mixing, when I put it onto the tree, onto the canvas, I look at it and I evaluate it on the go, like on the fly. I evaluate what I'm doing, and then I make decisions to put that same tone into other parts of the canvas. So it's just made like, those decisions are made on the fly, and that's why I'm not particularly concerned about getting the exact color. If I was concerned about getting each of these colors exactly, it would take me 10 times longer or 20 times longer to make a painting, and I'm just not that patient. I want to get good results as quickly as possible. I'm not into taking forever to do a painting. Not that I've never done that. I mean, I've done paintings that took a very long time before, and some of them continue to take a very long time. But that doesn't mean that it's a successful. Just because it took a very long time does not by any means mean that it's a better painting than the one that was done quickly. Sometimes it's just the opposite. Sometimes working on a painting for months and years means it's just not a good painting to begin with. It's just not a good composition, or it's not interesting enough, or just something did not work. Something does not work, and that's why you have to keep working on it and try to make it work. But if I can make it work from the get-go, from the first try, that's preferable by far. So it's coming along, really. I don't think you can see the fine details of it. What I'm gonna do now is outline a little bit more the parroquia here. I'm just gonna there's some sort of white showing through. I want to get rid of that. I'm gonna probably work the parroquia a little bit more. Just separate the colors a bit. Like what I'm doing here is a green church top, and then there's a green tree. They can use a little bit more separation in color. I don't want it to blend. So maybe I'll give the church top a little bit more of yellow here. So that brings it forward. The yellow brings it forward and separates it from the tree. Again, I'm doing this quickly, and I'm trying to explain what I'm doing. So I'm actually not painting at my best because, as I said, my mind is partially concerned with explaining what I'm doing and making, trying to not make this too boring for you guys, because I mean it's not that exciting to watch basically little tiny details, and I know you can't see it from that far. We need a pro videography, somebody to come up close and do detailed shots, otherwise you can't even see it, so probably don't even know what I'm talking about. But I mean, bottom line is I'm happy with this thing. I'm happy where it's going. I'm gonna add some more darks, sort of browns, the parroquia right here. Just darken it a little bit. I think overall I'm going to be starting to darken some stuff because it is a night painting, and a night painting should have darks. And so here's I'm breaking up that blue that I put in a little while back. I'm breaking up with some of its opposite. Brown, yellow. Here I'm gonna darken the edge of the painting again, darken this edge, just so the eye doesn't go off the canvas. So we're gonna remove some of the white highlights on it. And to counteract, so I was talking about one thing is sort of when the eye goes off the canvas, if there's a white spot or a light spot somewhere, it will lead the eye towards it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use just straight on white, and I guess you're not going to see this too much, but I'm going to put in some highlights, some whites that sort of lead the eye towards the parroquia, because the parroquia is sort of the center of San Miguel. It is that thing of Um, you know, it is the part that everybody comes to, that central downtown San Miguel that everybody wants to see, that main jardín with the parroquia. So I will add some more highlights around the parroquia. So that when the viewer's eye falls into this area, it's kind of led towards the parroquia. There's the cross. I might put in some stars at this point. And I gotta go because I got something cooking. I've left something cooking. But now I find it hard to stop painting because now I'm excited about this painting because it's coming along, and now it's the finer sort of details are coming through. So now I'm getting more excited about the painting. I wanna keep working on it, but I've got something cooking, so that's on my mind now. I gotta run and see what's going on. I'm just gonna put in these stars, some stars here, just to see what it's gonna look like, because I'm curious. I'm curious what stars are gonna do. So I've started putting in stars maybe 2011, 2012. This was, or even earlier maybe. I found that putting in these like white dots or whatever breaks up the surface and adds a dimension. It gives a dimension, like stars, like a sky without stars it does not give the same sense of dimension as a star filled sky. It's just a psychological thing, I think. I think when we look at the sky and we see all those stars, it's usually it gives us that sense of infinity and vastness. And the sky that's without stars, you look at a night sky with no stars in it, doesn't really have that same sense of infinity. Now the difficulty with putting the stars, I might put too many, and I tend to put them on like very similar intervals or something, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to like make it look artificial. So what I'm gonna do, I put a bunch of stars. I put more stars than I need to put. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna remove some of them and paint them over with blue, and that's gonna actually add more interest because it's gonna blend in some of that yellow and some of that white into the blue. It's gonna make an interesting mix. Let's see. So to see which stars I have to get rid of, I have to step back, and now I really have to go and see what's cooking over there. But I've started with these stars, and now I'm gonna have to get rid of some of them. I probably should have used a smaller brush. I also like going around the stars and just giving them a little bit of light around the star because I just like it. Yeah, so I mean this is going to be pretty tedious work now. I just have to be getting rid of some of these stars, and I'll be lightening the sky in in some of these areas around the stars to give it more of a more dimension, to give that effect of the stars shining. So I think I'm gonna stop the video here because this is not gonna be that much exciting really, what I'm doing now. And I think you got the idea. I think I explained it pretty well. So I'll see you next time. I'm gonna stop now. I'm gonna go see what's cooking. And we'll see you next time. What I would like to ask you guys is check out the link to Patreon and sign up to my Patreon. I would appreciate it. And then you can leave your comments and questions, and hopefully I'll be able to address them and provide more content of the kind that you would want to see, basically. Because right now, without communication from anybody, like, I don't really know what you guys want to see. I don't know why, you know, what somebody might want to see in the video. So I'm kind of just going by whatever I consider to be interesting. But I think it would be nice to be able to address actual questions and concerns and things like that. So yeah, that's it for today, or for now at least. I'm gonna go and check out my the thing that I'm cooking, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.